Good morning, guys. Sorry, I know I'm like a minute late. I had to go and grab Advil. I'm fighting, I'm pretty sure I've got um, this cold that my family has had, and I have like a crazy headache. So before I started, I thought I would just take an Advil. So hopefully it'll be a little bit better by the time I'm done. So, sorry, I'm just going to share this over in my classroom. And here we go. Okay, so the cards that I made last week, I wanted to turn them into another Valentine's Day card. Oh, here they are. So last week, hey Linda, last week I played around with these cards and created my own background. And I made this cute little loved card and make a wish and yappy birthday and happy birthday. So while my mind was thinking about it, I was thinking, I could use this same technique and try something a little bit different. So I have the letters cut out for love here. And so I started playing around, and I'm going to show you how I did this. It might be super hard to see on camera, but it's probably easier to see on here. But so I've used the same technique for the background, but with the spritz cleaner, I've imprinted a stamped image. It might be easier to see here. I don't know if you can catch it, if it catches the light. So what I've used is I grabbed the Love Blossoms stamp set this morning, and this is a special from now until the end of March. And so it is a huge stamp set. So there's two floral images and then the pieces to fit inside the flowers so you can color them. And then all the sentiments to use on the inside of cards. So that's what I grabbed, and we're going to create the background. Because of the technique you use, I had to do part of it. I did part of it before just to play around with it, and so to make sure it was dry before I went any farther, because you can't stamp on it while it's still wet. So here's what we're going to do. I am going to, so you can see when I played around with it, you can get like the stamped image right into the paper. So here we go. I'll just move these cards to the side. So I grabbed 3 colors of ink. I've already cut out my letters because you guys don't need to watch me cut out my letters. So this is going to say love, and I cut one of the stitched hearts with the thin cuts and raspberry. So that's where I wanted to start. Was I picked out 3 colors of ink. So I've grabbed raspberry and then lagoon and then sugar plum. I'm going to run in the middle. So here we go. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put down my all-purpose mat because I'm very messy, and I don't know if you guys saw my hands last week, but they were super messy. Okay. Sorry, I just had to wipe some ink off from the first time I did it while I was playing around. So I have just our regular cardstock, and I've cut it to the same size as a card base. So I wanted a fun color for this card, so I've cut out a piece of cardstock, and it's just going to be a top folding card, and I'm going to put an insert on the inside. But to make the background, I want as much room because I'm going to trim it down with the rectangle thin cut. I want as much room as possible because I'm going to do my darkest on the outside, at the top and the bottom, and run the sugar plum in the middle. So here we go. So I'm going to start with the raspberry, and just like last week, it's just the little sponges and I've cut them up. I put a little piece of cardstock on them and I just write the name because I'll reuse them. I just kind of have them sitting in like a plastic container. And so I just kind of rub a little bit of it off first, and then you're just going to like run circles. That's how I like it. So I'm just going to rub circles on the cardstock till I get the intensity that I want. And the advantage to doing the circles too is it also almost creates like a textured appearance on the cardstock, even though it's smooth cardstock, because you're getting the imprint from the sponge. Okay, so now I'm going to take the lagoon and I'm going to go on my other side. And just remember that it's most intense when you first put it down, and then it's going to fade off. And I know that my very edge is going to get cut off anyway, so if I did like a ton of ink there, like if I go like this, I don't need to worry because it's going to get cut off when I run it through. But it just kind of gives you a little bit of extra room so that you can get the different levels of color. So there we go. I think I'll stop. Oh, maybe I'll do a little bit more. Because in order for the stamped image to like you want enough color that you're going to be able to, it's going to be saturated when you go to stamp your image. Okay, and then lastly, I ran sugar plum down the middle, just because I kind of wanted something to bring the two colors together. And I'll run it over top of both those colors. It's super subtle, and I know you're not going to be able to see it probably on camera. But I'm just blending the two colors, the three colors together. Okay, so I have my raspberry and my sugar plum down the middle, and then my lagoon on the outside. Okay, so now what I've done is I have my huge stamped image on the block. So I just picked one because I just kind of wanted something just a little bit subtle in the background. So last week, what we did was, I'm going to do this in different spots that I'm going to stamp, I think. So I'll do a stamp here and a stamp here. So in order to get the ink to distress, and I think this technique is all just about the layers, is I'm just taking my spritz cleaner and I want different levels of splatter. So one level would be to drop big drops on, and it's going to make the ink disappear from these wherever it's going on the background. And then you can flick some, and so it's just a little bit lighter, and then you can actually mist spots too. So but I'm just going to leave that for right now. So now what I did, so I want to put the blossom image in the background, so I'm going to do it right here. So I have my stamp on my block. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just spray it with my spritz cleaner. I'm just going to let it sit for a second, and then I'm going to put it on my paper. And wherever the cleaner hits the ink, it's going to just slightly take away the ink and leave the impression of whatever stamp set you use. So I'm just going to spray my block. And I just kind of want it to sit because I don't want it to run. So I'm just going to wipe off around the edge there. Okay, so now I'm just going to flip it over and lay it where I want on my ink. And I think I'm kind of getting off camera. Okay, one sec. And I'm just, hopefully I didn't move it, but I think I did. So I'm just going to leave it here for a second just to let the spritz cleaner transfer onto the ink. Okay, so now you can see how I have that image, but it's just, it almost gives like the appearance of embossing, but it's completely clear. And so what it's done is it's taken the ink away in that spot. You can see that I actually moved it, but we're going to do it in this other, but I like it. Like it just kind of looks completely distressed, which is what I loved about this whole technique, is that it's all about layers. So I spritz my image again. Just have a little bit, probably too much there. So I'm just going to let it sit for a second so that it's where I want it. I'll move this up. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to try and get my image right over here. I also realize I don't have a Versamat underneath my all-purpose mat, which would help too. So then I'm just going to kind of leave it for a second. So you can see now, again, I've got a beautiful image here. And so it's basically, I'm creating my own background again. So maybe I'll just do a little third one over here. And maybe I'll just use this part. I'll just lay it down. So you could see there's the potential to do lots of different things. This will make a great background for a scrapbooking page or any kind of cards you wanted to create. There we go. So I'm just going to set that aside. So I'm just going to turn my mat around so I don't get any more spritz cleaner taking away the ink, because I'm happy with where it is right now. So you can kind of just subtly see it in the background. So now I can go in and do some stamping if I wanted to add a layer. So I've grabbed a piece of my heart, which is a current campaign, and there's paper and a scrapbooking workshop to match, and there is also a mini album you can create with it. But I'm going to just take the little square and this bigger heart, I think. And I'm just going to stamp it a few times on my background just to add another layer in here. So you could do the same thing probably with this snap set too and the spritz cleaner. The only thing is it's super tiny. Okay, and then I actually am going to grab my mat before I start stamping here. So I'm just grabbing the little Fiskars mat that has the piercing tool with it because it fits on here nicely. So I am also going to just grab a piece of cardstock. And so I'm just going to do some second generation stamping in the background here, just to add another layer of texture. And I have the little heart, and I'm going to add some raspberry hearts. And maybe a sugar plum heart or two. And maybe a sugar plum, little textured one. Okay, so there we go. So now I have all the different layers. So the ink sponged on, the spritz cleaner dots, then the stamped image with the spritz cleaner, and now some random stamping. And then what else I did was, I'm just going to close up my colored inks here. So, but I'll just leave them up here so you can see the colors that I used. Just so I don't put my hand back in that, and I need to get my block. Okay, so then I just took my sugar plum shimmer brush and I just splattered my background then. So shake it up to get the glitter going, and then I always just kind of drop a little, squeeze it gently or you'll end up with tons, but I just set some onto the side. Morning! No, I don't think it's morning there. And I'm just going to flick some of the shimmer onto my background. And you can also add, if you want bigger dots, just pull it up off the mat onto the background, like that. Okay. So now what I would do is normally I would let it dry because you can see it's super wet still. Well, it's not really wet, but it's not dry for sure because there's so many layers on there. So I would just set it aside and let it dry and then create my card. But because I did one earlier because I knew that it needs to dry for a little while, and it's because of the spritz cleaner on it. Like, I have quite a bit of the spritz cleaner on there, so it just creates, like, I can feel it's damp underneath, so I don't want to start adhering it to my background now. So then I've just taken the largest stitched rectangle square thin cut, and I've cut out this piece basically so it fits onto the card front. I had to do a few things ahead because this takes a little while. So then I'm just going to tell you this trick again. So I just have a spare, this is the outer frame. So the outside frame, when you cut this one, this is the largest rectangle. So let's pretend this piece is the same as a card front. So it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And you run it through your die cutting machine. So when it comes out, you have two pieces. The inside piece that has a stitched border and the outside piece. Obviously, they would be the same color. They wouldn't be two colors. But so I've just got one of these that I haven't used as a frame. And so I just this is just washi tape, so it's low tack, so it won't stick to anything. And I put it on my card front like this. So if this was my card front, I just lay it down on my surface, lightly tape down my frame, and then if this was already cut out, it makes it super easy to figure out so that it's in the middle of the card front. And then you just take off your frame and it's perfectly centered. So this is going to be the inside of my card. And so from that same stamp set, the Love Blossoms, like I said, there's tons of words for the insides of the cards. So I've taken You Are So and then Loved, and I'm going to stamp that on the inside of my card. So maybe I'll stamp it with the raspberry. So there we go. Okay. So I'm going to glue this, adhere this to the inside of the card. So I will put it right there. Like so. And then I have the You Are So, and I'm just going to do that in black ink, I think. I just have my intense black because that's what I have out because I was doing some coloring before. Okay. There we go. Okay. The raspberry color, yeah, it's super vibrant. And okay, so now I'm going to add, so what I've done is I've cut out two sets from the letters, one in black because I just wanted just a little bit of a shadow, and then one from the shimmer paper. And I also have added the foam tape onto the back beforehand, so you didn't have to watch that. But first I'm gonna figure out where I want my heart because that's the biggest element on the page. So I'm gonna adhere that down first. So, and raspberry's been around forever. It's like the traditional Valentine's pink. And I love it in the Happy Heart this year campaign. With the sapphire, it is super pretty. So I think I'll put it about there. Okay, so now I'm going to add the shadow pieces first, and then I'll add the shimmer paper on top. There we go. L-O. Let's hope I don't spell a four-letter word wrong because that's bad. And then I'm just going to B. Yeah, so I think that the thing that this technique is so easy, and you could do it 100 different ways and it'll always look different. So as you can see, I've like done a stack of cards, all with the same technique, but they all look so different. So there, so now the card just looks like the pop-up letters have a little bit of a shadow to them. So I think I'll use some raspberry twine on there. And I'm just seeing here if I have clear sparkles. But I don't, but we'll try coloring these, maybe. So I'm just, when I unwind the twine and it's all kinked because I'm right at the end, I'm just going to run it through my fingers because the heat from your fingers is enough to straighten it. And then I always have one set of scissors that I leave just for cutting ribbon and twine. There we go. Okay, and I'm just going to trim these. And I'll just take my piercing tool and I'm just going to fray the ends here. I thought, what else would we do on Valentine's Day but make a love card? So, and yesterday I updated my blog and I put up a Valentine's Day basically themed post so that everything that I've done over like the last month that was kind of Valentine's Day or love themed is up on my blog. And the blog address is right there if you want to go look at those. Because there's a lot, anything that I put there had a live video to go with it too. So here, I'll show you how I used that. I can use the frame on the inside. So let's just say, here we go, like so. Then you can see exactly where to add this down. and it just makes it easier to center it. You don't need a ruler or anything like that. And then I've just grabbed a few glitter gems, silver ones, and I will add them onto the front. And then we're done. So I'm just going to use a few, just add a little more sparkle to go with the glitter paper. Thank you. I'm glad. Okay, I think I need one more. I always do odd numbers, so I will be adding one. This would make a great wedding card, something a little bit fancier that you put a little bit of effort into. So there we go. Might just help it lie flat. So there is the love card. And I'll take some pictures to show the close-up of the floral image in the background to help you be able to see it a little bit better. And here's the one that I actually created right now so you can see a little bit better. And then, so these are the other ones that I did last week. I think it was last week. So here's the cat one. And here's the puppy ones. There we go. Okay, so I hope you guys have a great Valentine's Day, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.